What's on, guys? Welcome back to another TR7 Skate YouTube tutorial. Today we're going to be doing one that we've done in the past, but we're going to explain it today for those beginners who are looking to try it for the first time. This is the Ollie tutorial. So you might have already tried a few Ollies, you might have watched some tutorials in the past on how to do them. The truth is, it is quite a technical trick, especially if you're a beginner, so it can be very confusing trying to figure it all out because there's a lot of different parts to it. So for the sake of this video, to make things nice and easy, I'm going to break it down into 3 simple steps so that you can follow along. Step 1. It's nice and easy, but also it's probably the most important step of all of them when it comes to the Ollie, and we call it the tail tap. So tail tap is when you have your back foot on the tail of the board, and nice and simple, you're going to tap it down to the floor and then bring it back down again. This is the most important part of the Ollie because the tail hitting the floor is what's going to make the board bounce and come off the floor. So the more you practice this one, stood still and get really comfortable pushing that tail into the floor, the easier it's going to be for step 2 and step 3. Step 2. We've already done the tail tap in that step 1 that we just went over. Step 2 is the same thing, it's still a tail tap, but you're going to be doing it a bit quicker, like this. So you're only hitting that tail for a split second and then pushing the wheels straight back down instead of holding it like you might on step 1. So it's just more of the same. A good thing to try and do is do as many of those as possible in a row without stepping off your board. So it's going to really help with your balance, but more importantly, it's going to get you super used to slamming that tail down into the floor. Step 3. I'm going to go ahead and assume that by this point in the video you already know that an Ollie is basically when you jump and bring the board up with you. So you guessed it, we're going to add a jump. So we're going to take one of those tail taps that we prepared earlier on. But before you do the tail tap, you're going to bend your knees and get down a bit lower so that as you push the tail down, you can add a bit of a jump in like this. It's going to start off feeling a little bit weird and uncomfortable, but it's the best way to get used to trying to spring that board and actually get it to come off the floor. A lot of people, when you're learning this one, will tell you that you need to slide your front foot up and everything needs to work in unison, and that is true, but it's also a very technical way of thinking about it. If you break it all down and just focus on hitting the tail on the floor and jumping, that should be enough to get you started and getting those Ollies off the ground. And then once you get the hang of those Ollies, you can move on to our other Ollie tutorial, which is a little bit more in depth to help you to get those Ollies a bit higher and what we call leveling out, which is when the board goes completely flat in the air instead of staying at an upright angle. Just like when you're jumping on the floor without a skateboard, it is very difficult to do if your legs are straight. You're not going to go very high. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do, and that's why it's important to bend your knees before doing it, because that's going to set you up to put enough power into it that you come up off of the floor like this. And then another thing to think about, you might have just noticed it there, when you land it, it's also good to bend the knees because you don't have suspension on a skateboard, but your knees will do the job, and that's going to help you have the best possible balance when you're landing your Ollies. Once you've accomplished stages 1, 2 and 3, now it's time to start experimenting with your Ollie. Try and do it moving, try and do it over a little stick on the floor, off of a step, up a step. Get creative with it, because if you only ever try this one stood still on the floor, it's going to be the most frustrating thing ever. But if you experiment with it, you'll probably find that you're going to learn it a lot quicker. So get out there and try it in as many different places as you can. That's it for the 3 steps on learning Ollies. If you can already do these and you're really confident with them, share this video with your friends, because there's always someone out there that needs a little bit of help learning Ollies. And if we all help each other, the world will be a better place. Thank you very much for watching this week's tutorial. I hope I helped you learn your ollies. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the little bell so that you don't miss our weekly tutorials. And if there's a trick you're struggling with and we haven't done a tutorial on it yet, let us know in the comments below and we'll do it just for you. Faba!